I'm Tiziana Deering. Massachusetts has been betting big on climate tech in recent years, but now companies that make clean and renewable technology are in limbo. President Trump has stopped some funding for the sector and has announced plans to roll back environmental regulations. Columnist Scott Kirsner, with our editorial partner MassLive, spoke to some of the local climate tech businesses to see how they're responding to the changes. Hey there, Scott.
How are you?
Hey, great. It's great to have you. So we're talking about, the tech industry and climate change here. Big deal here in Massachusetts. Let's start with some of the local businesses that you looked at. What do they do?
They do. We have a really wide range of climate startups. They're doing everything from trying to design what would be the first nuclear fusion reactor, a company called Commonwealth Fusion Systems, to figuring out more sustainable ways to produce cement and steel and, these ingredients that go into just everything in our built environment. So a lot of it is for businesses and for industrial manufacturing, but some of it is more relatable to consumers.
So it's a wide variety, as you say. Honestly, I kind of thought I knew what you were going to say, but the diversity of those businesses still surprises me. What I do wonder about is what the moves the Trump administration has already made, how they could affect those businesses.
A lot of these businesses, when they're first getting off the ground, they do rely on government grants. And in particular, there was this agency called ARPA-E, and it's part of the Department of Energy.
Advanced Research Projects Agency.
Dash Energy is the ARPA-E initialism. And so a lot of startups that are coming out of an MIT, a Harvard, a Tufts, a WPI, they look for that early government funding to kind of de-risk, they call it, the technology, take it out of the lab and show that, hey, we actually can make steel. We actually can make cement with our newly invented process. And so that government funding has often been a really important bridge. And like all government funding, Massachusetts companies and Massachusetts labs have been really good at attracting it.
So there's that early funding, and now there's this concept of uncertainty. Scott, tell me what you've been hearing.
Well, uncertainty is just the word that comes up in lots of ways around the Trump administration and what different agencies are doing. And it sure comes up around the Department of Energy. They have a new secretary. Interestingly, Secretary Chris Wright was an undergrad at MIT, and so he has had exposure to our local ecosystem here. But the uncertainty is just what sorts of technologies is this administration going to favor? Is it going to be anti-wind and anti-solar, but pro-geothermal? So we kind of don't know which way the cards are going to fall over the next 4 years. And that's putting a lot of private investors into kind of frozen mode. They really want to wait and see before putting money into a company that's going to have a really tough slog for the next 4 years.
So as a reporter, Scott, you're a storyteller, right? So two-part question. When you decided to go talk to some of these companies, the story you thought you were going to wind up telling was
a lot of fear and uncertainty around how you build these companies for the next 4 years.
And the bit of the story that you found that you maybe weren't expecting?
Well, what I wasn't expecting is that it turns out people were worried that ARPA-E as a part of the Department of Energy would go away entirely. And it seems like it might survive. Nobody quite knows. But they did hold a conference in March. Everybody was surprised that the Secretary of Energy came to this conference. And he actually did name check a number of startups, including some in Massachusetts, as companies that he feels like will be part of this energy future where we have to be focused on, what is the word they use? American dominance. And some of these energy companies may be part of that.
You can read Scott Kirsner's column, Kirsner on Innovation, on MassLive.com. Scott, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.